What's some of the hardest things you can do with watercolor, other than learning the medium, is learning how to mix dark colors. Watercolor is a transparent medium. It lends itself towards bright, high-key colors, but every once in a while you want to go with something dark, a good deep value, a good dark color. And here I'm showing you a couple of examples. Well, let's see, we have a number of examples of some of the darks, the custom mixes I use. Now, if you look at my palette, you see a lot of bright colors. I use Holbein paint, which is one of the better quality artist watercolor paints available. And their colors are very true, and they're very bright, very high key. And to get darks, I tend to mix down. I tend to use a lot of blues mixed in with the reds, and there's a nice magenta there. I also take the blues and I mix them down, and I mix them with greens, and I mix them with my burnt sienna. So I create some custom mixes that I can use for my watercolor pieces that need dark passages. Now you'll see what I've done is I have made little pieces of paper where I put the color, I mix color on paper, on moist paper, and then I make a note of what the color is, peacock blue and alizarin, and I will put that up against the painting when I'm working on it or when I'm mixing my colors. But I'm going to run through these colors with you real quick to give you an idea of what some of the custom mixes are not so custom that I use, and feel free to go ahead and use these. Burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. I made it very dark. I lightened it a little bit. Here I used an ultramarine and a warm red, and an ultramarine and a alizarin. There's almost no difference, and you probably could tell more if you lightened it with water. For a lot of my Southwest scenes, I like to use these darks, alizarin, burnt sienna, and ultramarine, and permanent red, burnt sienna, and peacock blue. I don't recommend mixing more than 3 colors at a time. You'll get too much mud. Mud's appropriate in watercolor, believe it or not, but not always. I took a burnt sienna and a peacock blue. It's almost a darkish mossy green, and this is one of my favorites. It's peacock blue, alizarin, and lemon yellow. Again, 3 colors mixed on paper. And then we did an aureolin yellow, an ultramarine, and an alizarin, very similar in look. And remember, the more water you use, the lighter your colors will come through. Nice again for warm passages, Southwest passages, an aureolin yellow and a permanent red and an ultramarine blue. Again, 3 colors. Here we have warm red and ultramarine, a nice purplish color. Here's our favorite crooked peacock blue, or phthalo blue, and alizarin crimson, nice purple. And then we used peacock blue and a warm red for another variation on the purple. Beautiful again if you're doing Southwest Canyon mountain passages, burnt sienna, alizarin, and ultramarine, and alizarin, lemon yellow, and peacock blue. And for some darker greens, I used an ultramarine and a sap green for dark green, and I also used a burnt sienna and a sap green there. So here are the variations that I personally use when I do my dark passages in watercolor. A lot of these you'll see are 3 colors mixed together. I don't mix on the palette. I moisten my paper and I drop the color in, and I let the watercolor and the water do the work. But remember, always 3 colors is really your maximum unless you want a really dark muddy passage in your watercolor. And always remember to let your watercolor dry when you're mixing on paper before you do additional washes. That's it for today. I hope you picked up some ideas on how to use darker values in your watercolor. Thanks for watching. And above all, remember to keep practicing.